I am currently a senior in high school, and I am taking a pre-macroeconomics as well as a pre-microeconomics, and I do feel as though there are some things I wish I had known before I took the class, because honestly I went in without knowing or having any idea what econ was really about. Economics is definitely used in the real world. What you're learning inside of that class is not really that applicable to the real world. Something my teacher always said whenever we were going over a scenario is everything is taking place in a perfect economic world. So if everything was perfect, then this would happen. But obviously our world is not perfect, so a lot of the things that you're learning about, it's not so simple in the real world. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking that economics is going, it'll give you a good idea of how economics works. We're working with a perfect world, and that generally is not applicable to the real world. The next thing you should know is that in both AP Macro and Micro, there are a lot of graphs involved. The concepts are all related, and the graphs, they build on top of each other. You'll start off with a simple one, and then it'll get more complicated as time goes on. So just be aware that there will be a lot of graphs involved in the class in both Macro and Micro. The next thing you should definitely know is that economics does not come easy to everybody. It definitely requires a certain way of thinking, and for me, let me just tell you that way of thinking did not come easy to me. It requires a very logical way of thinking that some people just do not like or do not understand as well. So just keep that in mind. If you're not getting it and your friends are, or if you're getting it and your friends aren't, just understand it doesn't make you dumb. It just means that you have a different way of thinking. That's not your fault. Just if you need to study more, watch videos to get to where you need to be, but don't feel bad if economics doesn't come as naturally to you. Just like how economics does not come easy to you, teaching it does not come easy to a lot of people. Economics is not an easy thing. Economics is not an easy thing to teach. I definitely gave my teacher a hard time at the beginning of the school year. I did not understand a word that was coming out of his mouth, and honestly, some of these concepts are a little bit difficult to explain. So if your teacher isn't explaining it the best, chill on him or her and just go home and try watching some videos, or getting a review book, or even asking if you can have a private session with your teacher, a little one-on-one coach class, to have him better explain it, because economics is not the easiest to explain. In terms of videos, there will be that one guy whose name you keep on hearing about, and it is Jacob Clifford. Now, Jacob Clifford is a great source. He is on YouTube. He makes videos that help to make the concepts in macro and microeconomics a lot easier, but do not depend solely on Mr. Jacob Clifford, because he is not enough. While he goes over the basics of everything, you still need to go a little bit more in depth than what he shows. So he's a good source, but do not solely depend on him. If you're taking 2 exams, most people, when they take microeconomics, they also take macroeconomics. Keep in mind that a lot of the concepts are overlapping, so that might make your life a lot easier. So after you take micro and you start macro, a lot of the earlier units in macro are the same as the ones in micro, so that would definitely make your life a little bit easier. But keep in mind that while they have while they have overlapping ideas, micro and macro are different. Micro is more based on the consumer, the specific individual themselves and the choices they make, while macro is more so based on society as a whole and how markets as a whole act, if that makes sense. So yeah, some people might find micro easier, some people might find macro easier. Personally, I feel like I find macro easier, but maybe I just wasn't doing too well in micro because I was I don't know, micro is just a bad time for me, but depends on who you are, depends on what you like. So let's say you looked up the microeconomics overview and you figure out, you're maybe this isn't something I want, maybe this isn't what I had in mind. I would still recommend, if you're willing to put in the work, I would definitely recommend taking it just to get an idea of what economics really is, so you can determine if you really like it, because there are economic classes in college, and I think it's better to find out if you're a fan of it now than to go into college and struggle in the classes later and hate yourself for taking it. Because now that I've taken econ, I realize I do not like it at all, so I will be avoiding it at all costs when I get to college. But yeah, just figure out what you like early on so you don't have to put yourself through anything you don't want to when you get to college. The next thing you should know is that in any AP class, you definitely need to take initiative outside of the classroom. This is a mistake I made in economics. I was depending solely on my teacher to teach me these things, and he wasn't making any sense, and I didn't do anything about it. Well, I tried to, but I didn't do enough. So if you're not understanding something, you need to take things into your own hands, whatever that may mean. You can go home and watch videos, buy a review book, get coach classing with your teacher, or have study groups, or do practice tests, or whatever it may be. Make sure you're doing everything you can to understand the concepts, or else it's on you, unfortunately, if you do bad on the exam, because that's your money gone, it's the credit gone, so you gotta put in the work. Ooh. Overall, my experience with AP Economics was not the worst, but it also was not the best. Honestly, if I could go back in time, I would still take it, but I would make sure that I took more initiative outside of the classroom, and tried a little bit harder to change my way of thinking. So maybe spent a little bit more time studying, maybe talk to the teacher, have him, do a little coach class session with me, and maybe I would have done a little bit better. But as long as you put in the work, I think you will be fine. We're gonna get that credit, and hopefully I get the credit. Hopefully you guys, whoever's watching this, also get the credit. So yeah, this marks the end of my video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and comment down below what other videos you want to see me do. I'm in the house, I ain't got nothing better to do. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.